Welcome back to Sub-Zero Hero, and brace yourselves because after a decade of developing our own youth intake players, one has finally won a senior international cap. Now granted, it may be for Eritrea, hardly a giant of African football, let alone the global game, but it's a fully fledged international nonetheless. However, this is not the only big story we're going to bring you in today's episode. We need to update you on transfer deadline day. Okay, let's catch you up then. A couple of weeks before deadline day, no less than AC Milan came in with a bid for our 18-year-old defender Tromsdalen. It wasn't a huge bid, it was just over £1 million with add-ons, but you know me, whenever I see a bid I get pound note signs in my eyes, so I decided to negotiate it, and this time I went big. I decided if I could get nearly £3 million from Vålerenga for one of our players, well, a giant of Italian football, let's ask them for £5 million. And they told me to get lost. They weren't interested in paying anywhere near that much whatsoever. Now, this did upset Tromsdalen. Him and his agent were straight in my office complaining about how I'd crushed this young man's dreams of a move to Serie A. He was pretty unhappy about it. Sulked for the next couple of weeks until we hit deadline day. All have been quiet up until that point. And then Milan just surprised me with another offer. They came back, offering £4.3 million cash up front this time. I couldn't believe how much they were offering straight off. Only a fool would risk negotiating this further. Luckily, Tromsdalen have such a fool in charge. I went back and I asked them for a 12-month loan back deal, as well as 25% of his next transfer, and I asked for more money up front as well, a straight cash payment of £5.5 million. I did expect Milan to withdraw once more, but they didn't. They accepted those negotiations, and overnight Agnerbratton decided that he was going to become a Milan player. He's gone for £5.5 million, but we get to keep his services for the next year. And it also gave us a little bit of a war chest in our bank balance that I could then take into the boardroom and start making a few demands of my own. So with that £5.5 million coming in, once we'd cleared the club's debts, we had just over £4 million remaining, and I set about trying to spend it on the board's behalf. The first thing I asked for was improved training facilities, because our training facilities do lag a little bit behind our youth facilities, currently described as just average. The board have indeed agreed to spend just under £1 million improving them to good. That work's going to take about 5 months and should be done before pre-season training starts for the next campaign. The next thing I asked for was improved youth facilities as well. They're already described as great. I asked if they would upgrade them to excellent, but the board said that they didn't have the budget for this kind of improvement. So I'm thinking any kind of future improvements to youth facilities must be pretty expensive as you try and work your way towards having state-of-the-art facilities. But I wasn't done there. I went and asked for a third request. This time, I asked them to improve our junior coaching, which is already good, and they've agreed to improve it to excellent over time, which will put it just one notch below as good as your junior coaching can get. Now, we've already got the best youth recruitment that's possible, so I think the £5.5 million that we got for Bratton has helped improve the infrastructure of the club. But you let me know what you think down in the comments. Would you have kept him? Would we have been better served having one of our best defenders remaining with the club? Or is the money that we've got good compensation? And have we used the money wisely? So that's what's been happening off the field. We shall probably update you with our league form on what's been happening on it. So the answer is we're not doing that bad. We're fourth in the table, right there in European contention, although perhaps that is a little bit flattering to us. You'll see we're a good 6 points off third place in the table, and a defeat today could see us drop as low as 7th. But this is good progress compared to last season, with 2/3 of the season gone. Although we are improving against the bigger sides, as we'll show you in a second, but we're dropping lots of points against the lesser lights in the division. And we cannot keep clean sheets in this league. for anybody's money. In the last episode, we brought you the derby game against Tromsdalen, and let's be honest, they could have been 4-0 up inside 20 minutes in that game. Well, in the next fixture, we really were served up the beating that'd probably been coming for a while. We lost 4-1 to Odd, and that result could have been a lot worse. And then in the next fixture against a Starbeck side who are not doing that well this season, we needed an injury time equaliser just to escape with a point. We then had a little break in the league. We played a couple of friendly fixtures, one of them against a fellow Premier Division side in Mulder to test out a new 4-3-3 tactic that we hoped might make us a little bit more defensively solid, because I wanted to start trying to keep some clean sheets in this division. Well, we didn't keep clean sheets in our next game, but we did beat the mighty Rosenborg 3-2. They had their now customary penalty against us, but then we managed to get 3 goals over the next hour or so. One from Schönerson, one from Edoy Hansen, another from little Hugo Emper. They got a goal in the 73rd minute that made the end of the game a little bit more frantic, but up until that point, we were in pretty good control of it. A lot of their high XG came as they were chasing that equaliser late on. No clean sheet, but a really valuable 3 points. But then in the next game, well, we were struggling once more. 2-2 with Haugesund, another team that are towards the foot of the table. We could only muster a draw against them. And then we shipped another 3 goals to Strømsgodset, showing that we are still really weak and porous and brittle when it comes to the defensive side of the game. Even when we are beating teams comfortably, and we were 4-0 up against Mulder, we still can't hang on and keep a clean sheet, and we gifted them a consolation goal halfway through the second half. We've had another 2-week break since then. We've gone away and played a friendly against tough opposition in Denmark's Brøndby. Couldn't keep a clean sheet against them either. We played a 3rd division side where we got a much needed clean sheet, but I'm not sure whether they've really got the players that are going to test us today. We're on the TV. We're playing Ålesund, who a couple of seasons ago were being the champions as we were both getting promoted to the Premier Division. They've struggled since their return, whilst we've done a little bit better. Maybe today is the game where we get that clean sheet and a win? Maybe not. So this is how we've been lining up in recent fixtures then. I thought the addition of an anchorman might help solidify us. It hasn't, although I am still on a positive mentality. I've got 4 players in the side on an attack duty and on playing wing back, so maybe I'm actually master of my own downfall there. Also, if we have a look at how good our players are compared to the others in the division, it might give us more clues as to why we are struggling to keep them out. If we have a look at the quality of our goalkeepers compared to those in the division, you'll see that in terms of agility, we're above average. In all of those other areas, we are below average, and in 3 of them, we are the worst ranked team in the division. And if we have a look at the quality of our defensive play, well, you can see in 2 of those categories, again, we're the worst. And there's only the tackling where we make it up to the average ranking for the teams in that division. Things are slightly better further forward in the pitch. You'll see that in the midfield, we're the best tacklers out there, although we're pretty lowly ranked in all those other areas. And maybe our attackers are the area of the pitch where we're the strongest. You'll see in one of those areas we're above average, although I think Hugo Emper is a large part of why we have above average jumping reach for our division. All the others we're below average, but we're not the worst team in the division. So I guess to be sitting 4th when our players aren't the best ranked compared to the others in the division, I guess we got to give the players a little bit of credit for that. Here's what we're going to be playing with for today's game against Ålesund. We're going to be playing Bratton now, who's back on loan from AC Milan. He's going to be one of 3 loan players in our lineup. We've still got Mats Neser on loan from Rosenborg. And we've also got Martin Dusund Ibsen back training very well, who's on loan from Vålerenga. They don't want to extend that loan for next season, so where the creativity would come from next season, I'm not sure. Maybe that's a problem we address at the end of the season. If we're going to do well today, we're going to be relying on the front three who've really been firing in recent games. Auden Schönerson, 4 goals and 5 assists for him this season. Hartvigsson is one of the leading scorers in the division, 17 in 20, and has still been scoring even though he's been pushed out back to the left-hand side. A little tiny Emper, 9 goals for him now in 15, playing as that lone front man. He's been doing okay, but it's these smaller, more struggling teams towards the bottom of the table that we have been finding it difficult to pick up 3 points against. Let's see if we can buck that trend and get out there against Ålesund. Okay, we are the home team today, so we're in the blue shirts with the red shorts. Starting to get towards the winter months here. It's a little bit frosty out there, a little bit of sleet falling. We could do with another win just to keep us in contention. I think we're 5 games unbeaten now. A 6 would be great, but don't really want to draw. I'd like a win and I'd like a clean sheet. I would like our front players to continue their good form, but maybe our defence to cut out some of the errors and the mistakes that have been costing us in games. We are into the highlights. You'll see I'm playing little Anders Heidecker just in front of the defence there. Herum's in there as a deep line playmaker. He has scooped a little bit of quality into the pathway of tiny Emper. And this was a nice little goal. Herum there has just got the ball back from Emper. They've played a little aerial 1-2. He's played a nice little dissecting ball between their defenders. And Hugo ratchets up his 10th goal of the season. But we've taken the lead in lots of these games and we've been immediately a little bit more vulnerable. And Ålesund have got the ball and they're coming at us. Could we launch one of our counter-attacks, or are we about to concede a chance to a team that are 15th in a 16-team division? So this really is a team that we should be beating, but you could also say that about Strømgodset and Haugesund and Stabæk when we played them. And they've got in behind our defence and we've relied on Pedersen to make a save for us there. And now we've got defending to do. Schönerson dives in. Nessa's going to stop the ball going out for a corner. All right, give him credit. I thought it was going to be one of those moments where he dallies on the ball and their attackers pick it up. But he's managed to get it away. He's gone long. Emper's knocked it back to Herum. Pretty cool and composed. Heidecker and Herum playing it between themselves. Herum's actually having a good start to the game, isn't he? He's spraying passes around. And you put Jonas Hartvigsson anywhere on the pitch right now. I've played him for a half in goal. He still scored. He's dribbled in off his flank. What a nice pass that is. By the way, Herum has added the new trait of playing long-range passes to his game now. And I think we've just seen how useful that is an addition to him because he's picked out Hartvigsson. And we're now 2-0 into the lead. I was about to give them a little praise shout, but we'll wait and see if they concede a goal first, I think. Heidecker's playing that anchorman role. I know lots of people in the comments want to see him as a central defender. And he's played a couple of games in central defence for us. And he plays most of his games in the under-19s in central defence as well. But when he's making these first team appearances, well, we're just continuing to develop him as an anchorman. So we've got that flexibility on where he might go in the future. Okay, and we are back underway. I fear that the first 15 minutes of this game might be Ålesund trying to really attack us and get a goal to get them back into this fixture. I feel like even at 2-0, we need a third. We've got another highlight coming. And I think we're going to make our final change after that. Hartvigson's trying to get down the line. He's got a ball into the box, has he? He hasn't. He's taken a shot himself. And with 15 minutes to go, I think we're going to make one more change. Dusan Ibsen has not had a great game. So I think the change we're going to make is to bring on Hugo Riding. And I think we're going to bring Riding onto left back, where we have been playing him a few games, even though it's not his best area of the pitch. And we'll bring Kristoffersen in as that Mazzala, because he's pretty quick. And on some counter-attacks, he might be able to help us break from midfield. I've made that change thinking that shot from Hartfixon was the highlight, and maybe it wasn't. Because Gerser's in and he slung a ball over, and the player I've just taken off for playing poorly heads us into a 3-goal lead. Or maybe I've been a bit premature in subbing him off there. Emper gets the ball to Hartfixon, sprays it out to Gerser, and the little wizard shows that there's still a little bit of magic in those boots. He slings it over to Deuce and Ibsen, and the game is won. And I think what we'll do is we won't make the change I was going to make. Instead, as we're 3-0 up, we'll bring one of our youngsters on. We're going to bring on Richardson for Bratton, who's been booked. And we'll play Richardson for this final 15 minutes or so. Morton Richardson is a good prospect. Maybe we need to get him a little bit more game time towards the end of the season just to help his development. He's another player I think could be more involved next season. And Hartfixon has just got us a 4th goal. Now it's all about the clean sheet. I'm pretty confident in saying the game is won. I can still see it ending 4-2 though. And Nessa sends through a deep cross and Hartfixon just volleys one past their keeper. And this is starting to look like a good win. It's going to put us 3 points clear of Sandefjord, 5 points clear of Bodø/Glimt, but they've still got a game to play. And would you believe it, we finally kept a clean sheet, and we've had pretty good performances from everybody out there. Pretty pleased with that. So we're going to get into the dressing room. And what should we do? We'll keep their hands in the pockets and say that was a good performance. And let's see how that leaves the table looking. 3 points off Brann. They've got a game in hand. And we're 3 points ahead of the teams below us. But if Bodø/Glimt win, that lead will be cut down to 2. However, we've got 9 games to go. And excitingly, it looks like we've got something to play for at the end of the season. By the time we come back, our position might look a little bit clearer. We were to qualify for Europe. I don't know, are we starting to brand these boys Sub-Zero heroes?